I know a lot of you who watch my content are young aspiring artists, or you want to get into animation and you don't know where to start. And while this video isn't going to be a direct response to a specific question, I will be talking about my journey into digital art and how I became an animator. Hopefully this will provide somewhat of a blueprint to those of you that want to follow in the same footsteps. I should also mention this video is sponsored by Wacom. I'm going to talk about it more at the end of this video, but I'm really happy to have their endorsement, particularly on this video, because Wacom played a big role into my artistic journey, as you will soon find out. So where did it all start for me? Well, first let's set the scene a little bit. I grew up in post-communist Romania, sharing a small room with my brother who was 1 year older than me. I mean, he still is 1 year older, we just don't share a room anymore, thank God. But for a very long time we were both crammed into this very tiny space. We were raised by a single mother and our grandparents on her side, who also shared a room. My grandpa slept on the couch and my mom and my grandma slept on the floor. I'm telling you this because I know there's a lot of kids out there in similar situations who don't even dream of becoming a financially independent artist because they don't even know that's possible. So we were poor as heck. I didn't have any guidance. I didn't even know I wanted to become an animator. I was just doodling and drawing comics all day long because I was really shy. I was bullied in school. For me, drawing was not a hobby, it was an escape. We had this old computer that me and my brother would always fight over, and I remember one day as I was on the computer in 2006, I found out about this website called DeviantArt. It was a forum of artists of all ages and skill levels, where people shared their art but also tips and all kinds of useful information. It was here that I found out about digital art, and I fell in love with it. I was 14 and my new goal was to become a comic book digital artist. I found out about Photoshop and drawing tablets, and everyone was recommending and raving about Wacom. So as a broke 14-year-old, I started running errands for kids in my school. I'd go buy lunch for them and they gave me a cut of their money, and I saved up every penny until I had just enough to buy my first Wacom tablet. It was a used older model that I bought at half price. It was 200 Romanian lei, at that time around $60 US, and it could have easily been a scam, but it was the only way that I could afford a drawing tablet. I waited and counted the days for it to get in the mail, and as soon as I got my hands on it, I used it every single day. But here's the important thing that you need to understand. As an artist, you need to grow on two separate lanes. You need to, of course, develop your drawing skills, but it's equally, if not more important, to grow your business knowledge, to understand how the industry works, to learn how to use social media platforms to your advantage, to make connections, and to learn from people who are more experienced than you. I think a big mistake that a lot of beginners make is that they focus only on the technical drawing part without paying any attention to the business side of things. If you want to make a living as an artist or an animator, you need to grow both of these skills at the same time. And somehow as a 14-year-old, I intuitively understood that, and I started looking for work as soon as I had the tablet. It didn't matter that I wasn't good enough yet. I volunteered on other people's webcomics. I entered drawing contests. I did free commissions and art trades. I always pretended that I was more experienced than I actually was, because that would get my foot in the door, and by doing the gig that I wasn't good at, I was learning and getting better in the process. I worked for free on a lot of indie projects, and it wasn't until 2009 that I earned my first $5 for this drawing right here. There was no way for me to get paid online at that time, so the guy mailed me the $5 bill all the way to Romania in an envelope. To be honest, I think he may have paid more on the postage than the value of the $5 bill inside of the envelope. Of course, nowadays it's much easier to get paid. You have PayPal, Coffee, Patreon. People don't need to mail you the payment. Started getting more and more commission work. I never really earned a lot, but I was doing what I loved, and the few dollars that I was earning here and there motivated me to keep going. In 2011, when I was 19, I moved to Denmark by myself to study web design, of all things. My mom pushed me in this direction because supposedly web design pays a lot, and it's kind of in the same area of what I was doing on my own. But if I knew then what I know now, I would have never gone to college. It slowed me down so much, and it took away precious time that I could have put into developing the path that I was already on. And spoiler alert, I later dropped out of college anyway. This is a very common misconception, and I get this question probably every day. Did you go to animation school or art school to study art? And it annoys the living goose out of me, because you don't study art. You learn art by making art. By going to college, you are forced into somebody else's learning structure and time frame, and it's usually much slower and inadequate to your personal learning needs. If you're ambitious enough, you're watching tutorials, going on forums, connecting with other artists on the same level that you're on, and you're going to develop much faster and more efficiently, if you have the ambition for it.